begin with that arrest and the not guilty plea in the shocking serial killings on New York's Long Island that date back to more than a decade. Take a look at this man, Rex Heuermann, married, 59 years old, father of two. Police say that he works as an architect in Manhattan. Well, he's the one that's been charged in 3 of the Gilgo Beach murders, and he just appeared in court, his court-appointed attorney entering a not guilty plea on his behalf. A forensic team searching his home. A source close to the investigation actually telling us that this all came down to phone data and that the suspect's address had been on their radar for some time. That Long Island home located in Massapequa Park, that's not far from where the victims' bodies were actually found on the South Shore. Fears of a serial killer in this area actually started back in 2010 when a woman's body was discovered there in Gilgo Beach. Then bodies of 7 more women and a man and a toddler were found in the same general area over the next year. Joining me now, former FBI agent Richard Frankel, who actually worked on this case during his time with the FBI. So, Richard, we're learning now more about how DNA was collected from the suspect from these images that were shown in court. I want you to take a look. I know you've probably already seen a few of these. They actually snagged the suspect's pizza box that was shoved into a Manhattan trash can. And then there's another picture here of the pizza crusts that were used to collect his DNA. So, clearly, once they got their leads, they jumped right into action to identify their suspect. What do you think about this? Oh,
great work. I mean, this is, you kind of say this is 101 police work. This is what law enforcement does on a daily basis that you don't hear about from all the other cases, but in this case, it is working perfectly. They get the information that, or they need the DNA information. They need to get evidence, and they go about it using all of the tools of the trade. They're allowed to go collect, thrown away garbage. They're using warrants where they need to do warrants. They're tracking down the phones. They're using the analytics. They're talking with the phone companies, trying to get whatever data they can to show where the person was and what connections were made between the phone that the suspect was using and who, in fact, was that suspect talking to. Meaning, was he talking to the victim's family? They're able to kind of locate where the phones were. Again, I think this is the perfect connection and correlation between what law enforcement does in these long-term, very hard investigations.
So, what do you know about the phone data that they were able to get a hold of, and how new technology helped investigators, track this man?
Yeah, without getting into specifics of the technology, because some of that is still protected, for law enforcement use. What they're able to do is they're able to actually go into the data that you have in the system, either whether with your carrier, and then determine where that phone was last used and who that phone might have been talking to, but also to where that other phone was used. Also, then using all the data from the phone company, they're able then to connect at times, depending on other information and intelligence, what burner phones were actually used together. So they may have been talking on one burner phone at this point and on a different burner phone at another time, and using technology and a lot of the information that's out there, they're able then to connect those burner phones and use that to get back to the actual subject that they were looking for.
So what was the biggest challenge for you when you were on this case, to just making headway with all the bureaucracy, the politics, and still trying to stay focused on finding a killer or killers at this time?
Yeah, I was the special agent in charge at the time, so, I oversaw the investigation. But speaking with, the agents and the law enforcement teams that were working this case out in Long Island, in our Long Island resident agency, it was just a complete breakdown in communication with the local law enforcement that was out there at the time. things got much better, as you know, later on. But during the time of this, of this investigation, basically from around, 2010 to probably 2015, 2016, it was hampered because, both the Suffolk County Police Department and the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, even though they said that they were cooperating with the FBI and other law enforcement, in actuality, they were not. It was being run by individuals who, since that time, have been arrested, convicted, and either are currently in jail or have done their jail time for crimes not related to this case. But because of that, it really hampered the ability of a task force mentality, where you're able to bring in all the different agencies, their expertises, their specialities, and put them together to focus on catching a serial killer.
Do you think that this arrest could help lead to what investigators have said may be other killers that are still out there? Because there were more than 4 murders during this time, right? It was like a total of 10 bodies were still unsolved murders. So how do you see this helping in these other investigations that are ongoing?
Yeah, this is not the end of the investigation. We're probably right in the middle of it, to be quite frank, because you do have to find who else was involved in this. Maybe the subject did do these 4, or charged with 3 homicides, but actually, if you read the indictment, it talks about 4 murders. Did he do these 4 murders by himself, or did he have help? And they're still going to be looking into that. And then, was he involved in the other murders in some other capacity? It shows that in the indictment that he was having ongoing communications and internet searches and other potential lines of communication with people who may have been either committing these crimes, or maybe he was continuing on and committing these crimes as well as other crimes. Again, this is just, we're basically in the middle. There's a lot more to do on this case and a lot more for law enforcement to follow up on.
All right, we'll stay on top of it. Richard, thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.